Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Ranked, where I climb the online VGC 15 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. Yesterday we featured a brand new team of Kangaskhan, Volcarona, Landers T, Togekiss, Aegislash, and Rhythm Wash. Once again, huge shoutouts to Danny Hemchand, also known as Jabberwocky, for allowing me to use this team for the week. We're just going to jump back onto the ladder where we left off, currently sitting with a rating of actually 1802, so we are over the 1800 mark. It would be cool to make a run for the 1900s this week. This team has been super powerful. I've only played those 2 games yesterday, and it's kind of cool that you guys are seeing my learning process when I use a new team as well. So it's one of the things I like about Road to Ranked, and especially when I use teams that I personally am not very familiar with. So it will be a very fun week, I think, and yesterday's games were quite good. I definitely enjoy the team a lot. Things like Life Orb, Rotom Wash, and Togekiss and Volcarona are all really interesting, and I definitely am looking forward to using them a bit more. So we're just going to look for our first opponent of the day, and as always, if you enjoy Road to Rank, please show your support by leaving a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. So we're going to find a 1786 rated player from Japan to kick off today's episode. My opponent here is rocking a team of Gardevoir, Amoonguss, Landers T, Thundurus, Tyranitar, and Talonflame. So it looks kind of resemblant to the Mega Gardevoir teams that have picked up popularity over in Japan, which a lot of players like to use in Japan. And the nice thing with these kind of teams is it's kind of like Trick Room hybrid. So obviously Landers T, Thundurus, and Talonflame are Pokemon that don't want to be in Trick Room, but the thing is Thundurus a lot of the time relies on Prankster. Talonflame, of course, with this ability Gale Wings, gets to Brave Bird first a lot of the times, and then Landers T, typically a Choice Scarf user. So you can imagine here 2 different modes, one in which you can use, Gardevoir, Amoonguss, Tyranitar to take advantage of Trick Room, and then the other 3 Pokemon outside of Trick Room. A combination of that definitely works as well. It's why Trick Room teams are really popular with a couple of speedy Pokemon, just so you have different ways to play with it. So it's definitely going to be a bit difficult of a matchup, I'd say, here for me. I do like leading Kangaskhan, I think, just because of its ability to Fake Out. The issue in that is Amoonguss is a Pokemon that often carries Rocky Helmet, Thundurus can Thunder Wave me, Landorus can Intimidate me. So, I could see myself leading something like Kangaskhan and Landorus, actually. Yeah, I like that. I think Aegislash here is really good to beat the Gardevoir and the Tyranitar. Volcarona would be good in this matchup to beat the Amoonguss, otherwise not very good, though, especially with the Tyranitar on the opposing side, and a Talonflame, which it really does not like facing. So the last one really between Rotom Wash and Togekiss. I'm leaning towards Rotom Wash here. However, in bringing that, it does make my Amoonguss matchup pretty weak. So the question is, should I bring Togekiss just to beat Amoonguss, or Rotom Wash, which kind of beats my opponent's other 5? And I think I'm going to go with Rotom Wash this time around. I can afford to get Spored maybe once, so that's what I'm going to try to play with. I just don't think Togekiss and Volcarona are good enough to be bringing in this match. It's a testament to the how well built my opponent's team is, I'd say, because a lot of the times when you build a team, you want to cover each Pokemon's biggest threats. So Amoonguss here is checked pretty well, or its counters are checked pretty well because of that Tyranitar. But we're gonna see the Talonflame Landers lead from my opponent here. His Landers' Intimidate goes before mine, and of course, since mine is Choice Scarf, then abilities is based off speed. That does confirm that he is also Choice Scarf Landers, which is always good information. So we're both going to get Intimidates off 4 physical type attackers on the field right away to kick off the battle. I could go straight for the Fake Out Rock Slide, which is what I'm leaning towards. Let's see what my opponent has in the back. The question is, do I really want to Fake Out? And the other question is, who do I want to Fake Out? Landorus might choose the U-turn here. Talonflame, I also don't know whether it's Banded, Life Orbed, Focus Sash, something like that. He could go for a Protect that first turn and maybe switch out the Landorus or U-turn out to give himself a better position. So I'm actually tempted to just double edge the Landorus slot, since I think he's going to U-turn or switch out instead of Rock Sliding. I guess he could Superpower as well, but I find that somewhat unlikely. So yeah, I'm going to double edge and Rock Slide this first turn. Just because I think in this kind of position, you want to conserve your Landorus for the late game. He's going to stay in with both, which makes sense, but we'll see if a U-turn or maybe a Quick Guard from Talonflame comes out. So let's see. Okay, nope, he goes straight for the tail end with Talonflame. That's, not much of a surprise. Let's see what Landorus goes for here. Does he Superpower or U-turn? We're going to see after Rock Slide. So yeah, we do Speed Tide. Not much of a surprise there, both of us being max speed. Rock Slide is still able to pick up the 1-hit KO on Talonflame, which is super nice. So Talonflame does go down. He does go for the U-turn with Landorus as expected. Yep. So that works out quite nicely, though I could have gone for the Fake Out Rock Slide, but I wanted to get more damage off. than anything, so we'll see what comes in here. I do take a instant 4-3 lead, and I'll get maybe around 50% of damage on whatever comes in, though it's actually going to be that Tyranitar, which is a very good Pokemon to come in, since that Double Edge really won't be doing very much damage. And of course, it was highly unlikely that I low-kick that slot, so, you know, in the beginning of the game, when you don't have very much information, you don't know what your opponent has in the back, doesn't make much sense to go for those risky predictions right from the start. I still get some decent damage even after the Intimidate, so I'll take what I can get. So I do come out the turn with, you know, a knockdown and some damage, but my opponent does manage to set up the Tailwind, and this Tyranitar is definitely a huge threat. Now, it's actually interesting to see Tyranitar here as Gardevoir also comes out, so it's pretty cool actually, as Gardevoir traces Parental Bond there, which is actually pretty scary, though I presume it's Mega Gardevoir. So I think it's cool to see my opponent's team here because, you know, I was expecting the Trick Room. Tailwind definitely made a lot of sense as well. So, you know, two different means of speed control, plus probably Thunder Wave and that Thunderous as well. So this team clearly likes to rely on its speed control. The next couple of turns will be a bit difficult as I try to play around the Tailwind. I'm wondering whether he's like Special Tyranitar, because he can Ice Beam me, otherwise he doesn't have a great way. I mean, I guess he could just Rock Slide and Hyper Voice, and I don't have a great answer to that. Aegislash is definitely the key here, though. So I think I'm going to switch Kangaskhan out into Aegislash, since Kangaskhan beats the Gardevoir and the Tyranitar. The question is, do I want to switch into Rotom Wash as well? I'm leaning towards no, just because if I want to stall out Tailwind, it's easier to get a free switch into it and then protect. So I'm just going to Rock Slide here. Unfortunately, it might mean I have to sacrifice Landorus, but so be it. It's not like Landorus is incredibly important at this point in the matchup. I mainly needed it for that first turn pressure with the Intimidate and to knock out Talonflame, but definitely a pretty good position for my opponent after setting up that Tailwind. So we're going to see Gardevoir Mega Evolve here. Now, the nice thing is this Aegislash does carry Wide Guard, which can help me a lot in stalling out Tailwind as well. He's just going to launch a Hyper Voice, not much of a surprise there, doing a very good amount of damage to that Landorus. And he does go for the Crunch onto the Aegislash slot. Wow, good prediction there. Now, I'm Weakness Policy, but he managed to KO me. Wow, was definitely not anticipating that. Is he Choice Banded, or maybe he's just really, really strong? Either way, that was definitely a really, really good turn for my opponent, as, you know, Rock Slide obviously doesn't do very much. Very nicely done on my opponent's end there. So that makes this a lot scarier. I was expecting to get at least one turnaround with Aegislash, but that ends up not being the case. Very nice play on my opponent's end there. I was expecting the Rock Slide, but instead he made the better play, knowing that Landorus couldn't do very much. So very, very nicely played. I could bring in Rotom Wash. Okay, if I bring in Rotom Wash, then I would probably sack the Landorus, bring in Kangaskhan, then fake out attack. But that means he would get another Crunch off. If I bring Kangaskhan in, I can fake out Rock Slide, but that's not really doing very much either. I think Rotom Wash might actually be the call here. Mainly so I'm gonna try to get my Landorus, not my Landorus, my Kangaskhan back in. So I'm gonna protect here, and I guess I'll just sacrifice Landorus. And you see how good Mega Gardevoir is, just ability to continuously use those Hyper Voices. And Aegislash would have been really, really good, but my opponent was able to make a fantastic play and just eliminate it from the field. So we're going to see a Hyper Voice come out once again. Let's see what Tyranitar goes for here, because I am very curious as to whether it's Choice Band Tyranitar. He does launch another Crunch off. That would certainly be something. Well, this is going to be a tough one to close out, I think. Just because he's going to be able to get another Crunch off against the Rotom. Let's see. If you're my opponent here, I think you Crunch Rotom and attack with Gardevoir. So, actually, no, this can work out because Crunch shouldn't knock me out. Hydro might knock him out, though, since I'm Life Orbed. Maybe I can just Thunderbolt, because the reason is I want to set myself up right now so that he can't effectively bring in the Landorus for free, and by doing so, you know, I want to pick up 2 knockouts on the same turn. Unfortunately, we do still have one last turn of Tailwind left. Okay, let's see. If I Hydro Pump, I can knock it out. I guess Hydro Pump actually isn't too bad here. And I'll just fake out the Gardevoir, because then I can just Sucker Punch to knock out the Gardevoir the following turn. But let's see. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's Choice Band Tyranitar based off how much damage it did to my Aegislash. He's not going to protect with either or switch out, so I do just get the free fake out off against Gardevoir. Wow, that might actually just knock it out with the Sandstorm. That's kind of crazy. So if Gardevoir flinches, he does go for another Crunch targeting Kangaskhan. Whoa. Okay. Yeah, that's got to be banded. As he picks up the KO there. Does Hydro Pump connect? Oh, it misses the Tyranitar. No. Live and die by Rotom Wash and its inaccurate moves. That is such a disappointment. This Tailwind peters out, so Hydro Pump probably would have knocked it out there since this is such an offensive Rotom, and then I could have HP Iced to win the game. And now he's going to be able to get at least 2 Rock Slides off. Or 3 Rock Slides, I should say. No, 2, yeah. I'll take a turn to Protect here just to see what he wants to go for. But there's no doubt in my mind Landorus T goes for the Rock Slide here. Oh, that's such a bummer. I mean, I would have had to attack through Rock Slide and tried to not flinch, but that is really disappointing. I mean, yeah, I had a window of opportunity to win since he ended up crunching Kangaskhan as opposed to Rotom. He does just lock himself into Rock Slide, yeah, and he does continue to crunch. Sandstorm does subside, so, you know, Hydro Pump will definitely pick up the knockout now. I don't think Thunderbolt still will, since Tyranitar is pretty bulky, so I'm just going to go for the Hydro Pump. Okay, let's see how much this Rock Slide does. Of course, I am pretty frail. Wow, that did a lot. Hydro Pump! It's a sad day, it's a sad day. So I would have needed to connect on that Hydro Pump, not get flinched by Rock Slide, and then avoid a second flinch while surviving. I think I would have been able to survive another Rock Slide, but unfortunately, it's going to be a loss in the first game of today's episode. I don't feel like my opponent really outplayed me, though, so I don't feel as bad. It's just more of, you know, obviously rely on Hydro Pump, and when you use moves like Hydro Pump, that's kind of what you have to live by. Like, you know that 80% accuracy isn't very good. Combine that with the barrage of Rock Slides, and, you know, your chances of hitting it aren't exactly the highest. So it's always a bit disappointing, but those are the odds you have to play by when you use a team like this, and you use a Pokemon like Rotom Wash, excuse me. So, a really good game still, though. I thought my opponent played fantastically. Choice Band Tyranitar, definitely a very, very unique call. You don't see that every day. So, we're just going to look for the second game of today's episode as we try to climb back into the 1800s. But, man, that was really, really crazy. You know, I felt like the Tailwind was just such a really good call on my opponent's end. Had I gone for the Fake Out onto Talonflame turn 1 and went for the Rock Slide, that's actually probably one of the better plays I could have made right from the beginning, just because it would have denied any speed control. And speed control, you know, was what my opponent's team revolved around. So, you know, ultimately, the Double Edge didn't do nearly as much as I wanted to. I was actually mainly predicting an Amoonguss switch in. Turns out my opponent didn't even have it. That's why the Tyranitar switch in was very, very good, as we find a 1766 rated player from Japan for our next opponent of the day. But yeah, there were definitely plays I could have made better. Doesn't feel like my opponent was that much ahead of me, but at the same time, like, I should have made better predictions to get ahead instead of playing around the equal level. My opponent here is rocking a team of Kangaskhan, Sylveon, Aegislash, Heatran, Landorus T, and Milotic. So, somewhat similar teams in the Kangaskhan, Landorus, Aegislash, you know, 3 of the more common Pokemon in the format, but the right side is completely different. It's kind of interesting, actually, the left side of both of our teams are the exact same, albeit a different order. Let's see here. Landorus is still really good in this game because of its ability to hit Heatran, Aegislash, Kangaskhan, but of course he's got Milotic. However, this is one of the nice things of offensive Rotom because it can do a lot of damage to Milotic. I do definitely want to bring the Rotom here. Let's see. Kind of like leading Aegislash Rotom, actually. There's actually a very good chance he goes with Kangaskhan Milotic. Maybe I want to go with my own Kangaskhan instead. Yeah, there's little downside to Kang Aegislash, I think. Rotom in the back. Volcarona, not the best here. I think I'm going to go with Landorus. Togekiss could definitely help in setting up Tailwind. But my opponent has a lot of spread moves on his team, such as Hyper Voice on Sylveon, Heat Wave from Heatran, Earthquake / Rock Slide from Landorus. So, you know, Togekiss is one of those Pokemon you want to bring when you want to set up Tailwind, and B, want to get redirection off, and, you know, if they have Pokemon that are weak to Air Slash, like Grass types, that also really helps out. But one of the games where, I don't know, I don't think Togekiss and Volcarona are the best calls. They're really situational Pokemon. Like, Volcarona is one of those Pokemon that can easily beat some entire teams because they have no way to stop it, but against other teams it's just not very good. And since this one doesn't have, for example, an attack like HP Ground to hit the Heatran, Fire types are super hard to beat, though, not Fire types, Heatrans specifically. Though I was actually talking to Danny, the guy who created the team, and one thing he mentioned was, you know, you can low kick to knock out Heatrans immediately and go for the Quiver Dance, but, you know, I'm always always a bit hesitant on bringing Volcarona when my opponent has a Landorus as well. And Volcarona here carries Lumberry, not Chardy Berry. So, you know, Rockslide will be able to just pick up the KO, and that's why I'm more hesitant on bringing it. But we're going to get into this match. We'll see what my opponent decides to bring as the lead. I'm expecting Kangaskhan, Landorus, or Milotic, but no, it's going to be Heatran and Kangaskhan. Alright, against my Kangaskhan and Aegislash. So, nice call on my opponent's end to bring that Heatran. Very solid, I think I'd say. Let's see, so I can immediately switch into Landorus if I choose to do. I mean, I do have that option. I could also fake out Heatran and switch out into Landorus. Yeah, I like that play the most. It's the safest one. I mean, if you're my opponent's Kangaskhan, you should actually probably just attack my Kangaskhan with like a low kick or a double edge. So my Kangaskhan might actually take a beating here. In retrospect, maybe not the best of calls here. You might also switch into my Milotic, and if that's the case, he'd switch out first since Aegislash is slower than Heatran or Kangaskhan, and I'd be able to give it the competitive boost, which would not be good for me. So if my opponent does choose to do that, that would be a really, really good play. Otherwise, I'd be able to get Landorus in for free, intimidate the Kangaskhan, and then be able to Earthquake freely in consequent turns without giving my Milotic the boost, so that would be nice. But definitely my opponent winning the lead matchup here because Aegislash not the best Pokemon. Of course, I could choose the Wide Guard to block those Heat Waves as he does switch out the Heatran. Is my Milotic coming in? Nope, it's going to be a Landorus. But still a very good play on my opponent's end. It's nice to get the third Pokemon on my opponent's team though, just for information management purposes. However, he's probably going to get the benefit of this turn because I presume Kangaskhan will be targeting my Kangaskhan with an attack like Double Edge or Low Kick. So, not the best. But at least I get the Intimidate on both of his physical type attackers while Kangaskhan doesn't get intimidated. I do Mega Evolve first, but of course we could Speed Tie, so it doesn't give me enough information. But we'll see what he goes for here with his Kangaskhan. Good turn on his end though, definitely. As this is kind of like the epitome of VGC 2015, Kangaskhan and Landorus. So both of us choosing to Mega Evolve. See what he goes for. Yep, gonna Fake Out. That's obviously not going to do very much. Free damage against Landorus is always nice though, and it's still around like 20%, 25%, so I'll take that. He goes for the Power Up Punch, very nicely done on Kangaskhan. Yeah, so I figured he wasn't going to Fake Out there, so part of me wishes I slayed in with the Aegislash there, but he's going to be able to get his Kangaskhan to +1, which is obviously fantastic for him. So that's nicely done. And that puts me in a precarious position right... let's see, he also... he might have Superpower with his Landorus. A lot of Landoruses like to carry Superpower, and if he does do that, that would be pretty bad. Now, one play I could make is... I'm definitely considering the U-turn play right now, because he's probably going to go for a Double Edge onto my Landorus, and Superpower my Kangaskhan. I think that's what he's going to do. I don't really have a great switch into Superpower, though, either. That's the main issue right now. And Heatran, I kind of need Kangaskhan to be Heatran for Low Kick. Ugh. That Power Up Punch was really, really good. Should have faked out Kangaskhan, I guess. Especially in the position. I don't know. It was one of the times when you're ahead and you can take advantage of that. Yeah, I think I want a U-turn. You know what? I think I'm just going to sacrifice the Kangaskhan here. Oh, he protects! Wow, that's a even better play from his end. So I'm not going to be able to do anything. What does this Landorus go for? As, yeah, I walked into that one. He goes for a U-turn with his Landorus. Okay. That's a very smart play as well, since you'll be able to negate that Intimidate, get a free switch into whatever you want. It's unfortunately getting a critical hit, but, you know, Protect makes a lot of sense. We didn't see Fake Out that first turn. That was definitely something I, you know, should have anticipated, but at the same time, there wasn't a much better play I could have made. However, he gets even more momentum, so this is my opponent basically capturing the lead right from the start, given the lead matchup, and then... you know, making these plays where even if you come out even, you're still ahead because you made the better choice in terms of lead matchup from the beginning. So that was very nicely done on my opponent's end, and I thought he maybe played a bit more aggressively with Kangaskhan. Instead, he chooses to protect. Heatran's going to come back in here for my opponent, which it makes perfect sense. So that actually puts me in a really bad position. Let's see, I could low kick, but I am intimidated. Yeah, I'm locked into U-turn. Yeah, I think I'm just going to go for the low kick. Let's see what he goes for. Maybe I should have low-kicked Kangaskhan, actually, for more damage. Since I can knock out Heatran. I don't know. This it's just really scary, I guess, because if I can knock out Heatran, then Aegislash has a better time in this matchup. But, I don't know. I'm thinking whether the Pokemon choice in this game was correct. I don't know. It's not like bringing Togekiss or Volcarona would have really helped me out. Volcarona definitely wouldn't have done anything for me in this game. I guess if anything, I might have wanted to play around Tailwind just a bit more, since we do have very similar team compositions, and Tailwind being able to outspeed, you know, getting those low kicks and double edges off first, or even rock slides first, can go a very long way. So I guess that's one thing I would have changed. But the Kangaskhan Heatran combination is just really scary, because Rotom Wash is normally the Pokemon I bring for that matchup, as he actually goes for the Sucker Punch onto Landorus. Wow. Is that enough to knock me out? It isn't. I hang on with 5 HP. That's pretty clutch. So I do get a U-turn off here, but, you know, at what cost? I do end up taking a lot of damage. I was surprised he went for the Sucker Punch there, because I could have just switched out. I definitely will be switching out into Rotom here to take a potential Heat Wave. But yeah, like I was saying, so Rotom is normally the Pokemon I bring against King Heatran, especially when it has a Citrus Berry, but in this game, just not the case, because it's so frail, obviously. And he's going to go, straight for the Heat Wave, not trying to set up a substitute or anything like that. Oh my gosh, that did so much damage to Rotom, a critical hit. So, crits have not been very good on my side here either. Let's see. Yeah, now everything is in Sucker Punch KO range, which is kind of a problem. I guess I could Hydro Pump the Kangaskhan and Sucker Punch the Heatran. Though he might switch out. Okay, well, this is actually kind of interesting, because he could Double Edge into the Rotom slot, in which I could low kick and try to knock out his Kangaskhan, but he might also protect Kangaskhan and attack with Heatran, or he could switch out and protect or attack. I don't think he'd be expecting my Rotom to be able to pick up a knockout with Hydro Pump. Yeah, you know what? I'll Hydro Pump and Sucker Punch. See what he goes for. Oh, this is a pretty big turn, actually. Yeah, he does withdraw Heatran. That was his best play. You know, don't walk into anything silly. So Landorus does come back in for free. Let's see what his Kangaskhan goes for. Whether he chooses to target my Kangaskhan, targets Rotom. Actually, I think he's going to target Rotom, because the Landorus gets the Intimidate off. I'm faster than Kangaskhan, though. I don't think is Life Orb Hydro Pump enough to knock it out? Ah, so close, but not enough. As he hangs on with just a sliver, as he goes for the return onto, yeah, Rotom. Yeah, so if I targeted the Kangaskhan slot, also could have given me a window of opportunity, but nope, not panning out for me here. So I'll bring in the Landorus, but the main thing is now beating the Heatran is very... Well, I guess it's not that difficult since I already got a lot of damage off against it. But the fact that his Kangaskhan is that slow means I do outspeed him, which is very important information. This is one of the games where if I had Power Up Punch, I think it could help me a bit more since I could get a free Power Up Punch off against Landorus. I might have to rely on Rock Slide flinching here. The question is, what does he do with his Kangaskhan? Does he protect or does he Sucker Punch? Because if he Sucker Punches, I can knock him out with a Sucker Punch. But if he protects, then my opponent will just get a Rock Slide off with his Landorus. You know what? I think he's going to protect with this Kangaskhan, so I'm going to switch my Kangala into Aegislash. Yeah, this is a pretty rough position for me. I'd say my opponent just had me right from the start with that Kang Heatran lead matchup. And the only way I could have really beaten that is if I, for example, led with the Landorus, plus maybe something like Rotom Wash or Kangaskhan, and then switched out into Rotom Wash, I think. Or maybe if I brought Togekiss, Landorus plus Togekiss wouldn't have been very bad. But, you know, my opponent did have that Milotic on the team, and I had absolutely no answer to it. I guess I just didn't want to walk into it, and that's why Milotic is a Pokemon that's actually really getting popular, especially at Spring Regionals, where a lot of players used it, just to scare off all the Landorus Steel that are in the format. So I'm going to bring in Aegislash here. He does protect with Kangaskhan, okay. So I do at least reset the Intimidate and save my Kangaskhan in the back. I do manage to get my Rock Slide off first. Can I get a flinch here? That would be clutch. We're just trying to make ends meet here. And I do get the flinch, okay, so that at least helps me out in trying to come back here. Okay, so let's see. What does my opponent go for here? You probably Sucker Punch Landorus. This is actually a really interesting position. I do think this gives me a pretty... Not a big window of opportunity, but it's not entirely over yet. I guess he could Sucker Punch Aegislash as well. You know what? I'm just gonna Rock Slide here because it's saying, okay, if you don't Sucker Punch me, then I just knock you out. And I'm going to Shadow Ball the Lander slot in case he wants the U-turn into Heatran. Okay, he goes for the Sucker Punch onto Aegislash. That does activate my weakness policy. Ooh, this is really close. Okay, but he does get a lot of free damage off there, obviously, bringing me all the way down to 57. And he does manage to win the speed tie there, getting a U-turn off. Okay, but what comes in? Because it's whatever's coming in is obviously going to be taking a beating from the Shadow Ball. This is really coming down to the wire, even though my opponent's up 4-2. Let's see. So if he burns an Aegislash, well, we don't know his last Pokemon yet. That's the main thing. So it could be Sylveon, Milotic, or Aegislash. I'm really praying that it's Aegislash here, because if it comes in, then Shadow Ball just knocks him out. But we'll see. It's still going to be tough to win this one, but the main thing I've got going for me is that right now my Kangaskhan outspeeds his, so I can knock it out with the Sucker Punch before anything. But whatever comes in here is going to be important. It's going to be that Heatran. Okay, so I did go for the Shadow Ball in case he brought in Heatran. So I do knock out the Heatran for free, but I mean, the turn could have played out a lot better. For example, if I won the speed tie, that would have been really good. But I can't really complain given that I flinched him the previous turn. So I am able to knock out the Heatran, but now he's just going to be able to switch back in for free into whatever he wants. And both of my Pokemon pretty heavily damaged as well. I presume the Landers will be coming in here, but we'll see. This feels like one of the games where my opponent was just kind of one step above me for the majority of the match. And I guess if anything, I mean, there was no way I was expecting my Rotom Wash to outspeed his Kangaskhan. That was probably what caught me off guard the most. So it's like in a best of 3, that information would help me a huge amount. So he's gonna bring in Landorus. First of all, that gets the Intimidate off. Obviously, fantastic. Let's see now. What do you do if you're my opponent? You probably Superpower Kangaskhan. I'm trying to see what my opponent can do the safest play possible. I guess you can just Earthquake and Protect. But that doesn't make much sense because I can just fake out Shadow Ball then to knock out the Landorus. You can also Sucker Punch Aegislash, Superpower Kangaskhan. But then I can fake out Landorus and King Shield. Yeah, I guess that's the play I'm going to go for. Though the King Shield is so obvious here, he might just predict it and hit the Kangaskhan. Nah, I don't know. This is one of the cases where even though it's predictable, I think I still need to go for it since... Let's see. Well, he doesn't protect with Kangaskhan. Okay, that's not much of a surprise, really, but... it's not really in Sucker Punch KO range either, so I don't think I'll be able to do much. Oh, he does go for the Sucker Punch with Kangaskhan. Okay, so that was the play I was predicting. Ends up working out all right here. Well, he's probably going to Superpower my Kangaskhan now. Or you could protect... Oh, this is actually really, really close. He could Sucker Punch Aegislash again, but if he does do that and I Sucker Punch his Kangaskhan, I knock it out. We can also protect Earthquake here. But I do have Wide Guard, obviously. What do you do? I think you Sucker Punch Aegislash here. So I guess I'll Sucker Punch him and Wide Guard. Yeah, that's the play I'm going for. Oh, he protects. Okay. Yeah, that's a nicely done play. Just because he knows that my Kangaskhan won't be able to knock him out. The real question here, does he lock himself into Superpower? I presume he does. Oh wow, no, he went for the Earthquake. Okay. Well, that's actually huge since he locked himself into Earthquake. Wow. Oh my goodness. Okay, okay. So let's see. That's what I was kind of hoping for. He knows I can Sucker Punch once again. I also don't know his last Pokemon, which is probably the most frustrating thing right now. Let's see, based off my team, does it make more sense to bring Sylveon or Aegislash? Rotom Wash, Kangaskhan, Volk. I'm really not sure. Maybe it's Milotic as well. So I could just Sucker Punch Kangaskhan here. I mean, I think he's definitely switching out the Landorus. But if I mispredict that, then I also lose. Sucker Punch. Do I Shadow Ball or Flash Cannon? I'm gonna go for the Flash Cannon. Okay, he switches it out. What comes in? Let's see if it's Sylveon. It's Sylveon! Okay, okay, okay. What does Kangaskhan do? Oh my goodness. I got the Sucker Punch off. Kane goes down. Sylveon should go down here as well. Oh my goodness. He can't beat Aegislash. If he chooses to Earthquake, I just continuously wide guard. Wow, wow. Okay. So Sylveon goes down. I pick up 2 knockouts. That's exactly what I needed. And I mean, now he brings in Landorus. Holy cow. Okay. This game is crazy. I did not think I could be able to pull this comeback, but now it is very, very likely. And I needed to get that Sylveon prediction in. So he has to lock himself. He can't use the spread attack. 2 Sucker Punches should knock him out, so I'll go for the Sucker Punch. And I'll still wide guard to be safe. He forfeits! We did it! We did it! That might be one of the best comebacks I've ever had on Road to Ranked. Oh my gosh. I don't think he should have forfeited there just because he still should have gone for something. I mean, like, if I messed up there, he still had a window of opportunity, but holy shmoly, that was such a good game. That was so good. I thought I had a loss really the entirety of the match just because all my Pokemon are at such a low HP and he got that power-up punch right from the start, but wow. What a incredible game. Really fun episode today. That first game was obviously heartbreaker towards the end, but at least we made it up with a really, really good game and a win in the second game of today's episode. Excuse me. So yeah, that's going to be it for this one. Definitely one of my favorite episodes in quite a while. I was not expecting that ending till the second game at all, but oh my goodness, I really hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. Really intense, and that's why you should never give up in a VGC match. But yeah, that's going to be it for this episode, guys. A really long one, but a really fun one as well. Leave a like as always if you enjoyed it, and I shall see you guys tomorrow. Alright, peace.